Timmy, how's it going, my man? You
Hey,
doing good
buddy.
today?
I
All
am
right.
good.
Hey, thanks for joining me today. This is going to be a fun one. I spent some time this week with one of our big clients, and just kind of having that, that natural progression into, trying to get better with our supply chain, and
Yep.
and naturally now that we're starting to take care of some of that, like basic blocking and tackling, they're starting to ask the question like, what should I be measuring?
Yeah, yeah.
I typically, try to measure delivery times, and I'm trying to expedite, some of these little things. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about the way Lexin kind of approaches that and the
Yep.
way we think about it. And honestly, Tim, when you came over and helped me do this where I was in upstream oil and gas, it was so refreshing to just see a
Yep.
nice, simple thought, well thought out plan that everybody can follow. And Tim, you speak all over the world, and you are the absolute best at explaining, supply chain KPIs. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to give. I'm asking you, if you don't mind, would you walk through? And I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Would you walk through what you do and how you measure supply chain effectiveness? And I think this will be a really a great tool for anybody in the organization. If you're a C-suite guy, or you're a manager, or you're a shop floor guy, these are concepts that can drive your business and make your
Yep.
world a much better place, right? So share away, my man. Here.
Okay, so this is, I'll take a step back and I'll explain. I created supply chain effectiveness because I was trying to manage up into the C-suite and explain how are we doing, especially in a business. So this was a large mining company, and the upper management didn't understand MRO and didn't want to understand it. They just wanted to know, are you doing better today than you did yesterday? And so I realized, okay,
Right.
how do I paint the picture from the foundational elements like stock accuracy and die faults and things like this, things like you can see on the screen, but push it up so they can see the improvements or non-improvements and also the values associated with that. And so we came up with these five, and we've got one more included coming in, which is die fault, which is obviously a very basic one that needs to show the supplier performance. But the supply chain effectiveness was for up. The KPIs, these five KPIs, six with DIFOT, are about going down. And so we did this to try to level it and give people direction. Like KPI is giving you a map so that you know where am I right now versus where do I want to be. So it's like your GPS. And so this was really important when I found how many companies are not really effectively managing stock accuracy, considering it is foundational to every. And it's amazing when you go to warehouses that count, they say, oh, well, we only have to count once a year. Everything's got to be counted once a year. Oh, that kills me because that's just a financial requirement. It's like I have to verify my essence once a year, and finance, so I got to count it once a year. But that is not warehouse management. Are you really in control of your
That's not why
materials?
we do this, right? Exactly. We're here to help produce, manage risk and costs, keep our people, our environment, our reputation, our production safe by having the right part at the right place. That's the goal. It's not to just
Oh
count it
man,
and make sure we have what's on the books,
exactly.
right? It's to be a third leg of the
Spot on.
stool and be a
Yep.
part of that team member, right? So, anyways, keep going, Tim. Yeah, that's really
Well,
really good.
what's the first thing that happens if the maintenance and operations don't trust the warehouse? They're going to buy their own materials. They're going to squirrel them away. They're going to hide them, and now
Yep.
you've just obliterated your true consumption. And so this is everywhere I go. I keep going on. This is foundational. You got to count, and you got to count right. Don't correct as you go, which most places will say, "Oh, well, they must have taken it, so I'll just
Well,
book
I
it
know
out to
that
them
went.
and then correct it." And
No.
now you're hiding the problem. So I say, don't. Once you start counting, all bets are off. We need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
show whether you're good or bad or indifferent. Anyways, so on top of that,
Yeah.
you can see these other KPIs we're trying to get to. And then I start with the demand signal. And this is a very high level, very simple way of saying, I need to know how planned or how unplanned your signal is, because that signal triggers everything we do in the supply chain. And if it's unplanned, it's not finger pointing.
Hmm.
That just means if our ability to plan is low because either the equipment or the people is low or the capabilities are low, then you're going to have to stock more materials, pure and simple. And so that's your
That's
working
it.
capital goes up, your carrying cost goes up. And so if you want to lower that, invest in your planning and scheduling. Okay, so this helps define where is the business at from a planning and scheduling perspective. Next, I'd look at is you got to look at free text. Free text is I call it it's like a cancer. When you allow the business
Yep.
to free text materials, it's you're potentially free texting something that you have on the shelf. And again, now we're not seeing the true consumption. So should I stock it or not stock it? I don't know. How much of the true demand am I seeing? So at every opportunity, smash down free text. Technically
If
zero.
you,
Go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind, I don't think people are connecting the dots of the power of material masters. Like you can't do a lot with free text, right? I can get my terms and conditions right on my purchase order because
Yeah.
that's what's tied to my MSA or however your organization handles that. But
Yep.
guys, like all the functionality in especially in SAP, Oracle, right, and your ERP system, all of that functionality sits around that material master. And like not using a material master or a cataloged item to procure is like it's like I don't know the analogy to use, but it's really bad because it doesn't let you
Yeah.
automate things.
The,
It doesn't let you
the,
source. It doesn't let you do any
yeah.
of that stuff.
The analogy I use is like
Yeah,
buying
go
a
ahead.
car, but you're pushing it down the road because you haven't learned how to use the motor. And so,
Yes.
going
There you
downhill, hey, this
go.
is great. I'm just steering down the road. But as soon as you get a hill, I was like, oh my God, this is hard work. And you're pushing your car up the hill, not even knowing how to turn on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
use material masters, right? So let's plan
absolutely.
and let's use material. And it blows my mind when people say, "Yeah, we plan." Oh, right. Like, okay, cool, awesome. Show me. And there's no
Yeah.
reservations.
Yeah. A big one is people say we only catalog the things we stock. And we say if we don't stock it, we don't catalog
Oh
it.
my
And I'm just
gosh.
like, oh my God, really? Exactly. You catalog everything. And every
Yeah.
every spare part should be in a BOM. People say, oh, but we use task lists,
Amen,
like
brother.
those are SAP terms. But if it's a spare part and it's installed in your plant, it's when you catalog it, it takes 2 seconds to put it into a BOM. It's very easy. And then
That's right.
eventually, at the far other end, when you're eventually going to retire materials, if you have a bomb and I know where it lives, that makes it a really quick decision whether you keep it or you don't. And so that's probably a big piece of
That's
doing it.
right.
And there's no searching. If it's
Yep.
in a
That's
bomb, well,
exactly
you're
right.
not searching for material because you're looking through the bomb. Anyways. Okay, so we got
Exactly.
plan demand. We talked about stock accuracy. We talked about free text. The next one is stock turns. Okay, so this is a very financial view. So it's more of a finance health check because it's looking at the overall value and how fast you turn in and over within the business. So it's a good indicator of how well the inventory in the warehouse is being utilized. Okay, so for example, the people that don't understand stock turns, if you have $50 million of inventory and you have a stock turn of one, that means you're consuming $50 million of inventory. So you turn it over once
That's right.
financially. If you consume $100 million in inventory, well, then you have a stock turns of two. The world class is between three and four, but most people are less than one because of all these things we
That's
talk
right.
about of free text and using P cards and things like that, and just leaving stuff in the warehouse. So that's very financial. And the last but not least is we like to measure automation. Almost every ERP system, and we focus a lot on
Absolutely.
SAP, was built to automate. Yet so few businesses
Hmm.
use the tool as they have. Use what they have. Automate your purchasing. You feed your ERP system SAP with good data, and it'll automate all day long. And it just seems we find a lot of companies that are scared or they're not pushing. They've got purchasing officers, and so we don't worry about it. We'll just have it the purchasing officer do it. And that is you're getting left behind quick. You need to automate. Like I tell people in SAP, if you've cataloged the material, you should never buy it again because if it's fast moving, critical, or expensive, it's on a contract and they should be automated all day long. The other half, you
Absolutely.
should just do an RFQ, do a quote. You maintain the quote in SAP, which creates a valid condition. Let's say for the next 30 days, here's the price. And then SAP picks it up and automates it.
Yep.
So you take your purchasing officer from being transactional and manual to turn around, negotiate. And that means just ask for a discount. You're adding value. Just say, hey, can you give me 10%, Bob? I order this frequently enough. I'll bet you 9 out of 10 times they're going to give you a discount. And then you just added value. So There you go.
And that, Tim, in my opinion, Tim, I've seen that firsthand where you have a junior category buyer or a
Yeah.
junior purchasing officer or something. That's the step. If you get them out of this transactional hustle, so to speak, you can give them an opportunity, to your point, to go out and do some of that contract negotiation or at least some negotiation. Give them that experience around having some negotiations on a one-off, material.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see people. I like to show that motivational pyramid where you give people autonomy, purpose,
Yeah.
and mastery, and that, you know what I mean. And if you can give those three things, people just bloom and blossom, and
Yep.
they move from being afraid to make mistakes to just like showing a lot of wins, and they're just proud of what they do. And I've seen that firsthand, and it's so fun.
Yeah,
So
spot
I think
on.
that's great. And I think if you start doing this type of stuff well, your purchasing like the culture just changes, right?
Oh
Like
man.
it's so fun
Well,
to be part of a group.
it's amazing. I go to
this
companies
well.
and
Yeah.
there's no KPIs. I'm like, how do you manage your people? How do you know if they did better yesterday than today? It's like,
We're just too busy to measure that stuff, man. Like that's what I hear. Like I think that's a great a segue kind of into our next couple of podcasts that we're going to talk about. So how do you go from one of these KPIs, like material number used percentage or plan demand percentage or any of these or PO automation? How do you go from this to a functional give me a roadmap, give me some tools to help me do that?
oh man.
And that's what we're
Yeah.
going to start talking about in the next couple. Right, we look over here to the left, a little sneak peek to you guys. That we have some tools that we'll talk to you guys about, and it's more importantly than a tool, it's more of the philosophy and the thought behind how to do this, right? So that's what we teach, right? So
So I was gonna say building
go ahead.
capability, and that's once you start showing people this, it's about okay, now we're gonna give them capability, improve them, lift them, train them, and it's like you said, make them blossom. It makes a big difference. It's fun.
It's awesome. It's a lot of fun to watch, and you've seen me blossom as a father and a man and a. No, I'm just kidding. No, but you help me a lot, and man, I'm just honored to be here with you and helping other people
Yep.
do it. And it's just
Oh,
so much
you too,
fun.
buddy.
So, again, thanks again. Yeah, thanks again for showing us this and explaining this better than I ever could dream. And guys, we'll see you on the next one with some tips and tricks on how to fix some of this stuff. So take care. Have a great week. We'll see you in another 7 days probably.